My name is Sam Ronaldo. I'm the middle school principal. I'm going to let some of the wonderful people on this webinar introduce themselves. But before I do, just remember this is in fact a webinar. So the people that you see in front of you are the panelists. As attendees, we cannot see you or you cannot unmute yourself. That just kind of keeps things organized. However, I encourage you to use the Q&A box if you would like to ask any questions. We'll do our best to answer those either live or type a response to those. And if we don't have an answer, then we will certainly jot down the question and get back to you as well. So again, my name is Sam Ronaldo, middle school principal, and I'll let everyone introduce themselves on the call.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Lori Schatz. I'm the middle school assistant principal. Welcome.
Hello, everyone. I am Livia Velasquez, Señora Velasquez for the students, and I teach 6th grade in middle school. I teach Conexiones and social studies. Welcome, everybody.
Hello, good evening, everyone. I'm Señora Ramos. I am the 5th grade Spanish in 5th grade Immersion. I just want to thank everybody that showed up tonight, and I apologize for all the reminders that we've been sending home. There is a lot going on at the end of this school year, and I appreciate you all being here. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jason Strauss. I work with Participate Learning, and I support all of the Conexiones teachers across the state, including Ms. Velasquez, and I'm so happy to be here to tell you more about this amazing program.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you, panelists. And I saved the best for last. Well, not the best for last. They're all the wonderful here, but I saved Jason for last because that segues nicely into our. Oh, Laura's here too. Hi, Laura. Would you like to introduce yourself?
My name is Laura Diaz. I work with Jason at Participate Learning, and I'm the program manager for the dual language program at Pine Lake.
So I'm thrilled to have the representatives from Participate Learning here. They were an integral part in bringing Senora Velasquez here. We did this webinar last year, and it was a great success. And admittedly, there was a lot of questions and just some things that we still needed to figure out. And we had already brought Libya on, and we were speaking a lot of hypotheticals at the time. You know, we envision this and we think this and we hope that and so on. And now I really I'm very happy and very proud to be able to say that, well, currently in our middle school immersion program, so on and so forth. And I'm going to let some of the other people on this call talk more about that as this goes on. There's not a whole lot of visuals. I know Jason's got some slides he's going to share about Conexiones, but until that happens, you get to look at us. So hopefully you're comfortable and enjoying that. So as you all know, I mean, the class coming up, the current 5th graders, is the second class at Pine Lake to begin the immersion program. I am a proud father of 2 immersion students currently in 1st and 3rd grade. And people keep telling me in the blink of an eye, I'm going to be doing a webinar and their mother is going to be, well, I guess in the next room in this particular case, but, and it happens fast, but we could not be more thrilled with the outcomes already that Senora Velasquez and the work of those that participate have brought to the middle school immersion program so far. I want to mention something, because I keep using the word program, and that's something that's kind of ingrained in me as an immersion parent, and someone welcoming the immersion group now for the 2nd year. I feel confidently that the immersion program in the middle or in the lower school is very much a program. It's a 50-50 A day, B day, or half days or whatnot, depending on the grade level, and they are getting half of their instruction in Spanish, and that drops a little bit as they get older and as they get into 5th grade even, but it is very much a program. The students are in self-contained classrooms, meaning they're in Mr. Volk's homeroom, or they're in specific rooms like that. And it is a little different in the middle school, and they are still part of the immersion program. They will always be part of the immersion program, if you will. However, it is a contrast with how they are placed and whatnot, meaning the middle school has 8 distinct classes, 45-minute blocks every day. Language arts, social studies, science, math, traditionally Spanish, and then a fine arts and a fine arts elective, as well as a either STEM or success elective. Language arts counts twice. That's how we get to 8. Your students will never see the inside of a Spanish classroom, a Spanish 1A classroom, a Spanish 1 classroom. Frankly, in my experience in visiting Senora Velasquez's class and Senora Ramos's class, they could probably teach Spanish 1 if we're being honest. So it's a very different situation, but outside of the 2 classes that they will be taking as part of their middle school Spanish immersion experience, the other 6 of them, they will be heterogeneously mixed with students in math and science and social studies, well, not social studies, math and science and language arts and fine arts and things like that. So I want to say, while it's still very much part of the program, and these 40 so students are never going to forget the upcoming and upbringing they shared together in the Spanish immersion program in the middle or in the elementary school, in the lower school. It will be a transition for them into the middle school, and we've seen success with that, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. But to be clear, I just for the breakdown or the format of you, if you will, students in the Spanish immersion program in the middle school will attend 8 classes, 8 45-minute classes a day. Language arts counts twice, science, math, fine arts, STEM or success. Social studies will be taught in Spanish, as it has been this previous year. And instead of, you guys can see my hands, instead of Spanish 1A, they will be taking Conexiones. And we're going to segue into Jason in just a minute. Conexiones is going to be in place of that. And then their social studies curriculum. I want to remain humble, for her. But I'd be remiss if I did not really give kudos to Senora Velasquez and Jessica Biondo, our current 6th grade English social studies teacher. And we're already preparing for next year with Miss Ivory Coutry, our 7th grade, our 7th grade social studies teacher. Their collaboration, Miss Biondo is an animated and very enthusiastic teacher. And the first day of school, Laura, you might have to help me out with the message here. I can't remember, but I remember that she kind of like floats and dances around the room. Miss Biondo does. Well, wouldn't you know it, that on the first day of school, and this is true, I'll never forget it for the rest of my life, Senora Velasquez was in her Spanish immersion social studies classes identically, dancing and doing exactly what Miss Biondo did. The partnership and the collaboration has been just fantastic, and we're so thrilled to see what we've seen, and we're thankful, so thankful to have Senora Velasquez here, and thankful for the work at Participate that has been done so far. But without further ado, if we can, I would like to transition over to Jason. The fact is, we're teaching social studies, the same content, the same curriculum, the same standards, in many cases very, very close to identical lessons and lesson plans, but in the Spanish language. It doesn't need much more explanation. However, Conexiones does. So I'm going to turn it over to Jason at this time to kind of walk us through what Conexiones is all about.
Great, thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I might need to be added as a co-host.
Yeah,
in order to do that.
I was just thinking about that. It's been a while since. It's not a bad thing, but it's been a while since we've done 2 Zooms. Let me see. Make co-host.
Great, now I can do it.
Okay, great. Okay.
All right. So let me go ahead and get my screen set up here. All right, I'll use Mr. Ronaldo's technique here. Can you guys give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen? Awesome. Thank you so much. So, hola a todos, ¿cómo están? Gracias por tenerme aquí para hablar un poco del programa de Conexiones esta noche. Don't worry, I won't be speaking in Spanish during this presentation, although I saw Senora Velasquez, she was ready for it. I am excited to tell you more about the Conexiones program in English. But before I jump in, I'd like to tell you all a little bit more about myself and how being bilingual has actually really impacted my personal and professional life. So I've been a bilingual educator for over 10 years now, and 2 of those years I taught in a bilingual school in Malaga, Spain. I've also taken middle school students to several Spanish-speaking countries for immersive and language experiences. For the past 3 years, I've been working at Participate Learning. Personally, I've traveled by myself in most cases to 10 different Spanish-speaking countries and close to 30 countries in total. I've also lived in 3 different Spanish-speaking countries. None of this would have ever been possible, even imaginable, if I was not, without being bilingual and being able to communicate and interact with people from different cultures. This is the goal of the Conexiones program, and your children are gaining the experiences, knowledge, and skills to be able to do this right now under the guidance of Senora Velasquez, who is phenomenal. So let me tell you a little bit more about this program. So the Conexiones program is an interdisciplinary global studies course with a Spanish language proficiency focus. It includes a curriculum, an assessment of language proficiency called the Apple test that students take in 2nd, 5th, and 8th grade, and observations of teachers, coaching for teachers. We also meet virtually as a teacher group once a month in an online community. And we also have different courses and other professional development that we offer online. The learning objectives of this Conexiones program are kind of twofold. On one hand, it's all about developing language, and under that is improving language proficiency in the 4 skills of speaking, listening, reading, and writing. And then also improving grammar. And then on the other side, we have global citizenship. So it's all about cultivating globally competent citizens and using the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals to take real world action and have authentic conversations in Spanish. So let me tell you a little bit more about both of these sides. On the language proficiency side, like I said, there is an Apple assessment that students take, and we actually have adopted can-do statements that were designed by the organization that created the Apple test, called ACTFul. And within this, within these, they've kind of outlines 4 different skills, which is interpersonal listening and speaking, presentational writing, interpretive reading, and interpretive listening. These are the 4 skills that are measured and assessed on the Apple test. However, within our curriculum, we've also added presentational speaking because we believe that this is also a necessary skill. As you see here, this cone, I think, is really fascinating to take a look at. This was designed by ACTFul, and you can see, I know it might be harder to see because it's not very big, but we have different levels. So novice level, intermediate, advanced, superior, and distinguished. So a lot of times when you're learning a language, I want you all to imagine that this is like a cup or maybe a wine glass, since we have some teachers on the call here. And if you fill up this cone, this upside down cone, it takes just a little bit of water to get from this bottom part, you know, to fill up and move the level up a little bit more. But it takes a significant amount of water to move from, for example, from advanced to superior. And this is the same with learning a language. You can learn a lot when you first start out with a language, but it takes practice and practice and practice to get to be fully bilingual. And this is what we really aim to do with this program. So I want to talk a little bit about the themes of the Conexiones program. So it starts out with global society and culture, then moves to environment and geography, then access and equity, and economic sustainability. And these themes are based off of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, as well as the topics that are assessed on the Apple test. Back to the Sustainable Development Goals. These were created by the United Nations in 2015. And the goal was that they would be completed by 2030, or that they would create different ones in that moment. And so these goals are a call for action to promote economic stability while protecting the environment. The SDG goals address common topics within North Carolina standards for science and social studies, like climate, water, energy, oceans, urbanization, transportation, and technology. So it's really relative to what students already are learning about. And the really cool thing about this is that, I know we're in 2022 now, but for those upper middle school students, at least I feel confident in saying this, that are those students that are already in middle school, by 2030, they're going to be adults. So by working on these projects, they're actively changing their future for the better, which is really an exciting thing. Additionally, within the curriculum are our global competencies. So these are 10 competencies that we believe make up a global citizen, and they were based off of an organization called PISA. Within these are under paying attention, we have understanding of global issues and intercultural understanding. Feels connected, we have curiosity, respect for difference, global connection, and self-awareness. And then under taking action, we have critical thinking, empathy, flexibility, and communication. So now that I've kind of gone over the learning objectives, I'm going to actually take a jump into what does this actually look like in the classroom? I know, I'm talking to a bunch of parents here, and you may ask your child when they get home from school, hey, how was school today? And they say, oh, good, and they don't elaborate on what they're doing. You have to really dig in to hear how their day was. So I want to show you exactly what this looks like in the classroom. So within Conexiones, we promote a lot of virtual exchanges. So these exchanges connect the Conexiones classroom with other classrooms in different countries. These are just some examples of some virtual exchanges that teachers have done this year. This example right here, I thought was really clever. One of the teachers designed a virtual exchange that was based off of the game Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and asked students sort of slang in the US who are from Chile, and then her students slang in Chile, and she was quizzing them, and then they talked about it afterwards. And this is really so that students can learn from other students their age who are Spanish speakers and get the opportunity to interact with Spanish speakers and learn about their culture and their daily lives. We also have tons of cultural activities embedded in the curriculum. These are just some examples, some snapshots of some of those happening in Conexiones classes. I also have a couple of videos to show you, just to kind of show the level of Spanish that each of these students has. I may need to reshare. Let me see if I can boot this up really quick here. I may need to reshare my screen. Bear with me here while I figure this out. Okay, I think I'm good. All right, so this was a student that created this presentation for upcoming sixth graders within their Conexiones program to let them know a little bit more about the program. And I'll fast forward ahead to kind of get to the good stuff here.
Hola y bienvenidos a los globales. 1. Vean el mundo de manera crítica y analítica. 2. Entiendan los perspectivos de los demás. 3. Entiende problemas que impactan otros alrededor del mundo. 4. Sienta una conexión profunda con el mundo y celebra su red de conexiones. 5. Reconoce que las personas son influenciadas por su cultura y circunstancias particulares. 6. Tiene deseo de aprender y experimentar el mundo. 7. Se comunica de manera efectiva y apropiada con otros. 8. Valora la diversidad y aprende de los demás. 9. Reflexiona sobre sus acciones y actitudes y toma responsabilidad por ellas. 10. Se adapta a nuevas situaciones y ajusta su rumbo si hay información nueva. Objetivos de desarrollo sostenible. No solo podemos tratar de ser más como un ciudadano global para resolver esos problemas, pero la ONU creó 17 objetivos que deben ser cumplidos en 2030. Garantía que nadie pasará hambre. Todos tendrán acceso a la educación y acceso a agua limpia, agua para nosotros y animales y que las plantas florezcan. También habría menos desigualdad de riqueza. Los tiempos son duros ahora, pero hay esperanza de que nos podamos mover hacia adelante. Con el grupo de conexiones podemos cambiar el mundo.
All right, so I hope that gives you just a little bit of taste of the language proficiency of these students. Another thing that I'd like to show off is just a quick clip of something that we launched last year that we're continuing this year, and I've talked to Ms. Velasquez about it, and she is ready to have her students from Pine Lake participate next year, which is a Model UN debate. So basically these debates it's basically a simulation where students act like different delegates from different countries to talk about specific issues in the world. And so last year, I contacted a personal friend of mine, Representative Ricky Hurtado. He's the first representative in North Carolina of Latin descent. And he came and served as our guest speaker. And then we had, I believe, 3 different schools participate in the debate. This year we have 9 schools participating, and we're really excited to do this. And I can actually share a website if you all are interested in watching the debate this year. But I will just play just a really quick clip of this as well. Bear with me while I share my screen again.
Sí, buenas tardes a todos que están participando en este evento. Estamos teniendo una conversación, un debate muy importante, no solo para nuestro estado, pero para todo el mundo.
400 veces. Ese es el número de veces que se puede ir alrededor de la Tierra usando el plástico que está en nuestros océanos. Es un honor para mí dar inicio a este debate en donde expondremos diferentes ideas sobre la contaminación que produce el plástico en el mundo.
El plástico de un solo uso es un problema muy grave porque eso tiene un efecto grandísimo en el océano, los animales y el medio ambiente entero.
Somos la delegación de Filipinas y estamos muy preocupados por la situación del plástico en nuestra nación.
De un solo uso y esos tardan entre 20 y 500 años en descomponerse.
Por prohibir el uso de plástico de un solo uso en California, Connecticut, Delaware, Hawaii, Maine, New York, Oregon y Vermont.
La delegación de Estados Unidos quiere saber algunos planes que China ha puesto en moción para hacer.
All right, so just wanted to give you all a little taste of that. I will share the link to this, to the upcoming one. It's actually going to be a week from today on Tuesday from 12 to 1:30. So I'll share the link so that you all can watch it live if you want and find out more information. just about wraps up my presentation. Thank you so much for coming today and for having me. I'll also just share my contact information. I'd love to hear from you. If you ever have any follow-up questions or want to discuss anything further, I'd love to connect. Or if you have any feedback about the program, I'd love to hear it. So feel free to reach out to me, and this is my information. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you, Jason. We can open up for questions here in a minute, and we'll do Q&A. Again, I just want to reiterate, we don't have, there's been too many details or anything planned for tonight. The essence is that we want you to know that the immersion program is going well. It's alive and well in the middle school. We are so looking forward to welcoming this new group of students in and continuing the success that we've had. And we hear such good things about this group from the lower school in general, from Senora Ramos as well. And they just keep getting better and better. I want to take just a minute here to allow Senora Velasquez, or Libia Velasquez, to introduce herself. Just a few minutes and tell them, how you ended up here at Pine Lake, and just any anecdotes or some of your experiences from this almost complete first year of immersion here at Pine Lake.
Of course, thank you. Well, good night again, everybody. Well, I'm Senora Velasquez, Livia Velasquez for all of you, and I am from Mexico. I come from Guadalajara. I was living there in Guadalajara for 15 years. And yes, I've been a teacher for almost 18 years now. I taught first in Mexico, then in California in an immersion program. Then I came back to Mexico because I got married, and I was living with my husband, having raising my family in Guadalajara. And then later I found Participate Learning, and I loved how I could incorporate it into my teaching and connect my students with the world. I had an experience connecting my students with others in Jamaica, and I met who I call now my Jamaican sister. We had these yes, we had this connection with our students. And we loved it, and we were together in this process as well. We ended up coming here together, and we met in person in Raleigh this year. This past year was the first year for me and for my family to be here in North Carolina. We're very thankful with the program. We're very thankful with the Pine Lake for taking us and making us feel like part of your family. And we really appreciate that. I am thankful of the teachers in lower school. Everybody has been very, very helpful to us. And Laurie and Sam, they have been wonderful. They have done everything they can. Like, they've gone above and beyond for me and my family. And we have no words to really say thank you to you all. I had the chance the other night to meet some of you at the lower school during our meeting and our middle school night, and what to expect when you're having a middle schooler. And I had the pleasure to talking to some of you about the program, showing you some of the things, the visuals and everything that we use in the classroom. We prepare a lot. I've been we Participate for like 2 years. Well, this is the third year that I'm also with them. We take trainings, we take PDs all the time. We learn as much as we can to continue and to keep the programs alive, but also to incorporate as much as we can into the classes and make it all better. There's always room for improvement. So yes, like Jason said, any comment, any feedback that you guys have is always welcome, and we are there to adapt anything to all of the students and to all of our generations. One of the things that I like and that I have also experienced in is helping students with the transition from elementary school into middle school. And now it has been my opportunity to help them with that, and also to practice my language, to practice Spanish here with them. And it has been an amazing experience. I feel like I have grown professionally. I feel like they have learned from me, they have grown as well, and they feel very good when they get to teach me some of the culture, some of the things that they do here in North Carolina, things that are important and they feel identified with, and then they ask me more about my country or about other Latin American countries. And well, I feel very, very lucky to be with the families here at Pine Lake, and I look forward to this next year and meeting all of your kids who are going to be teenagers now. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Senora Velasquez. We had a couple questions come in. I typed the answer to one of them, but one I said I would answer live. It was a parent that was asking about the plan for the immersion program and the immersion students when they get to high school. Jason and Laura and Lori and I talked about that when we met about a month ago now, I think. And tentatively, understanding that these kids are still in 6th grade, but I completely understand the question to kind of know next steps. Tentatively, they would transition directly into one of the highest level Spanish classes that we teach here at the high school, or here at what they teach in the high school, which would obviously be full immersion in Spanish at that level anyways. And basically being able to transition into that class through credit by demonstrated mastery, and basically by the proving of their ability to pass at the Spanish level that they would already have and they already have now. But they would be, we're still not quite sure. And again, we've got a couple of years, but we're still not quite sure if we're bringing them in 9th graders as their own. It would still be a Spanish 3, Spanish 4 curriculum, but bringing them in as their own separate cohort, similar to an immersion class. So for example, let's say we brought them in as Spanish 3 students, which is typically an 11th grade course, bringing them in to do that. And they would potentially be mixed in with students who had taken the world languages Spanish, which is, if you've got if those of you on the call, if you've got older siblings or younger siblings at Pine Lake who are taking Spanish 1A, Spanish 1B, Spanish 2, the traditional course that we refer to that as the world languages course. But we run the risk of them being in the same Spanish 3 or Spanish 4 classes with the world language students, which is not, one is not better than the other. But I think Jason and Laura would agree with my statement that the immersion students, even though they may be in the same class curriculum-wise, are well advanced compared to this traditional world language Spanish 3 or Spanish 4 classes. So tentatively, that is our plan right now, is to transition them, jump the pile, if you will, of the world language kids right into Spanish 3 or possibly into Spanish 4, and ideally make that their own cohort. In other words, they would be amongst only immersion students, and while they may be learning similar or even identical curriculum, it would be done in a more of an immersion standpoint. And of course, anybody else who was in that meeting, Laura and Jason and Lori, if I missed anything big there, then please jump in, but I got it. Another question. How will EC programs in the elementary levels transition to the middle school? The answer is really the same way that they would, whether they were immersion or not. A student's IEP or 504 or any other kind of situation like that would transition. The accommodations within a 504 or the specially designed instruction within an IEP will still exist. A question had come in earlier for clarification on the 2 classes that the immersion program will replace in the middle school. And again, that is social studies, same content, same curriculum, different language, and Conexiones, which is going to be in place in the Spanish 1A, which is the world languages side of Spanish. So imagining all of the other 6 classes, obviously a student with an IEP, an EC student, they would receive that specially designed instruction in math and reading, or any other behavioral goals or anything specific to that, and then any accommodations that would exist within that IEP that would translate to all of their classes will exist in Immersion, social studies, as well as Conexiones. So that is all the questions I see in the Q&A. I saw somebody earlier in the call raised a hand, but I'm not exactly sure what that means. I've never seen anybody do that in all my Zoom years, my whole 1.5 Zoom years. So if you do have any questions, we'll hang on for another minute or two, and we're happy to try to answer those. But if you don't have any questions, I think this kind of wraps up the end of our webinar. I want to thank Jason and Laura from Participate for joining us tonight. Your guidance and your curriculum and has been invaluable to us, and Senora Ramos for and all of her immersion team at the lower school. We would not be nearly as successful with what we are doing. I keep saying we. This is Libya. This is Senora Velasquez. The success is due to her, but we would not be nearly as successful without the support and them coming from such a great foundation at the lower school. So thank you, Senora Ramos. But for Ms. Schatz and I and the rest of us at the middle school, oh, this is a good question. If you're still on and you're still actually listening, I'd love you to hear this. So the question is, if a child is struggling with the elementary level, and I'm going to go out on a limb and assume that you mean in the Spanish immersion program, would you suggest they move on to the middle school? Yes. So the answer to that is emphatically yes. Enthusiastically yes. I would recommend that they continue on, and I'll tell you why. We had 3 or 4 students, in between families, in between when Senora Velasquez actually arrived here, that felt like they wanted to remove themselves from the immersion program. First of all, the answer is it's not as much of a program. I keep doing that, a program at the middle school as it is at the lower school. And again, I'm speaking more to even my personal experience as a parent. But they have 6 other classes that are in English. The challenge of a full day of not only having to comprehend the language, but then comprehend the content is not there. Okay, it is 3/4 of their day in English and 1/4 in Spanish. And I was lucky I got that right. And I never taught math, but I can tell you it is. In the experiences that I have, the conversations with those 3 or 4 families who felt the same way, and we tried, Ms. Schatz and I tried our best to reassure them, even though we truly had no idea how this whole thing was really going to play out. It was a success, and of those 3 or 4 families, I know for a fact 3, it might have been 5, and 4 out of the 5 stayed, and they're happy that they did. I know there was one student who we did move out after the first quarter, but the ones that were on the fence, they stayed, and I think they would tell you that they're thankful that they did. The fact of the matter is, not just Senora Velasquez, but all of our teachers in the middle school are excellent, superb teachers, and Senora Velasquez is as well. If a student is struggling in math class or science class or language arts, they're going to get the help they need from our staff and our teachers at Pine Lake. If they're struggling in Spanish immersion, they're going to get the help that they need from Senora Velasquez. The support is there, and as long as the effort and the enthusiasm is there, we'll get them to where they need to be. There's a transition piece here that also needs to be factored in. And when they transition to middle school and also doing the immersion thing, it seems overwhelming and stressful, but you got to remember they're all doing it together. And now we can say, hey, we've already done it. It worked so great. Last year we were looking forward to doing it. We hope it works so great, but it did. And so it would be my recommendation to keep them in. And if after a period of time, the first quarter or so, it truly and honestly is still not going, or still not going well, then we can have that conversation. But I would very, very much rather we start that conversation with, well, we tried, and despite all of our efforts, it's just not what's best for the kid. That's okay. But if we can't start that conversation, well, at least we tried, then we have to end it with, well, we'll never really know. And I'd hate for that to happen after putting in. Here's the thing. Your kids have put in 6 years of learning everything in elementary school, well, almost 6 years, 5 years and however many months, almost 6 years of learning everything in elementary school, half of it in a language that they don't speak natively. It's a stressful situation to think about coming to middle school and being part of the Spanish immersion program, but it's not enough to give away all of that hard work and all of that instruction and what you guys are. I mean, I listen to my third grader talk and read and speak Spanish, and I'm just blown away. And he's in third grade. He's only halfway to where your kids are. Don't give that all up based on a potentially stressful situation. When I know that we'll get you where you need to be, and in the rare cases we can't, then we'll make a shift at that point, but at least give it a shot. Any other questions? Oh, here comes another one. Will you get feedback on the Apple testing for this year from 5th grade? Senora Ramos, do you have the answer for that question?
Yes, I do. So one of the classes just finished all the Apple tests this year. And the second class, the other class, will finish it tomorrow. They have their last test tomorrow, the speaking one. And the scores will come out probably towards the end of the school year. And that's when we will send letters to parents, and they will see where their kids are placed. And I would just maybe use the same kind of like wine glass that Jason showed up a little bit before. That is a great visual to see where your kids will be placed. And it will give extra information about what things they might need to help their kids move forward and things like that. But all that information will be sent out at the end of the school year. Okay, because it takes a while to grade the writing and the speaking piece, because those are graded and scored individually, and that's why we will get those scores later on.
The answer, so we had a question, are there different Spanish placements in 6th grade? Answer is no. Well, I'm assuming you're asking about immersion. So our immersion cohorts are scheduled. So let's use a nice round number of 50. 25 of them would be in Conexiones in one block. The other 25 would be in the other block of Conexiones. One of them, that first block would be in the first block of social studies Spanish, and the other one would be the other social studies. So Senora Velasquez this year teaches 4 sections, 2 Conexiones and 2 social studies immersion classes. So she will see each of your kids twice every day. But they are heterogeneously mixed. They are not mixed based on Apple test scores or anything like that. It's a good question. So we do utilize that Apple test information for data gathering purposes in order to inform our instruction. There's no destruction, I promise. Inform our instruction and kind of plan and how we implement and at what pace we implement the Conexiones curriculum, especially. But no, it's also utilized for Senora Ramos and her colleagues at the lower school to see what areas they need to build in and work on, and see what areas they are being most successful in. So it really is very much for data gathering purposes. Just some good questions, though. Thank you all for coming. We appreciate it.